Howdy, it's Mr. Pete again, and this time with tips number 415 entitled Autopsy of a Deadblow Hammer. And why am I doing an autopsy? Because this hammer is dead. Over the years I have owned many Deadblow hammers, and ultimately they all end up like this, decayed material, and I think this is polyurethane, but I'm not sure, and I'm going to sacrifice this even though it is a Blue Point, and I could probably redeem it at a snap-on truck if I could ever find one, but I don't intend to do that because I'm going to sacrifice this for the good of the cause. But as you can see, this ball peen type of Deadblow is really unused. Notice how perfect that face is and how perfect the peen end is. So it really has never been used. And it's just decayed over time. I don't know how old it is, probably 20 or more years old. And I have owned these, really many like this, including where I worked. And this is a Stanley. And it did the same thing. It started to fall apart. And I've taken several of these apart just for my own interest over the years, and that's what I'm going to do here after I demonstrate the purpose of a Deadblow hammer and how it works. And I'm hoping that some of you out there care about this, and I think you do. So these hammers are really, they fall apart. I've had these where I picked them up off the shelf. Some of my hammers are in my garages are on shelves. I use a lot of these for mechanical type work, as probably you do as well. But I picked one up one time and only half of it picked up. The rest was still on the shelf, kind of stuck to the shelf for that matter. Now I also own this Lixie, and it's all metal. It's a beautiful hammer. You can see I've hardly used this, replaceable tips. Now how do you know it's a Deadblow hammer? Shake it and you'll hear it rattling, kind of like a baby's rattle, although not that loud. Why? Because it is partially filled with shot, either steel or lead. Now the ones I've taken apart were a very fine lead shot. So that's what I'm going to do with this one, and then saw it open. But first, take a look at this video clip where I compare two hammers, a regular ball peen hammer and this one, and I bounce them on a steel plate in slow motion, and you can see the difference. There's virtually no rebound with the Deadblow hammer, and really that's what it's all about, and then all kinds of rebound with a straight steel hammer. So take a look at this clip. I think you'll like it. I enjoyed doing it. Now watch the rebound on these two hammers. Deadblow, standard ball peen. Did you see the chip fly out of the Blue Point? With a solid steel hammer such as this, the entire energy is delivered at the moment of impact. Whereas with a Deadblow hammer, the peak force is spread out over a longer period of time. And I think that will be apparent as I do my glass hammer, and you'll see what I mean. Now I'm going to put on the screen a paragraph or two about Deadblow hammers, and that is from Wikipedia. You might find interesting. Lately I've been accused repeatedly of being clumsy and inept, and thus the black thumbnail. And since I'm right-handed, I assure you I didn't do it with a hammer, and to this point I still don't know what I did to that thumb. I have prepared at considerable effort and expense a glass Deadblow hammer that I will use to simulate the action of the lead shot in an actual Deadblow hammer. So take a look at this slow motion film. Well, let's get on with it here now. This hammer actually has a sticky feel to it as it deteriorates. Now, I've had one of these apart, and inside of it is a tube, and of course it's sealed on both ends, and I believe that the hammer handle, which was also steel inside here, was welded to it. So that's the way this one is made. I'm not sure how this is made. I hope I can open it up, but let's take a screwdriver here and see if this peels off. And oh, that came right off. I didn't. Camera because it is cracked as well. Wear safety glasses. It's a Deadblow ball peen. They are a champion of the obvious. Well, now I'm going to saw this open if it's not too hard, and we'll see how many BBs are in there, or if they're lead or steel. Be back in a minute. Well, this is much harder than what I expected, and I ruined a hacksaw blade within a minute, where you can see that saw mark. And I ultimately used my Dremel tool, and I used up about 2 or 3 of these. Anyway, I got a plug of metal out of there so I can pour out the BBs, I think. And there they are along with the dwarf. And they are pretty fine. Not as many as I would have thought. Now, the question is, are they steel or lead? Grab the magnet here. They're steel. I'm very disappointed. The last one that I cut open that was like this, they were lead, because I examined them very carefully and even flattened a few of them. But this is the cheap route. Cheaper to do, I suppose, and not toxic and all of that. Maybe they're worried about that nowadays. You know, when these get opened up, that there's lead. Alright. I would have thought there would have been 4 times that much. No autopsy is complete without weighing the organ. So the organ in this case is the BBs, and they weigh 55 grams. So if we weigh the empty cup, that's 2 grams, so it's really 53 grams is what we got. And in ounces, it's not quite 2 ounces. I may have lost a few babies, so there was about 2 ounces in there. It really doesn't seem like much. I'm quite disappointed in that. Well, that concludes the autopsy. A pile of babies, pile of plastic, and the skeleton from a once proud Snap-on product. Hope you liked the video, and I'll see you in the next one. This is tubalcain saying so long for now.